Hey, hello Internet, hello YouTube, hello everybody out there. Thanks for coming and hanging with authors today. Today we are hanging with author and blogger and your own website design, your own everything. We're hanging with Toi Thomas. So Toi, welcome to the show and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited. Yes, you're right. I am an author and a blogger. I do my own web design, book cover designs. I'm very, very indie. And I started this about 4 or 5 years ago, and it's just kind of taken off and really become my passion. I do write fiction. I focus mainly on the speculative genres, but I am kind of branching out.
That's awesome. Now, I know your first book is already out there. It's on sale everywhere. It is Giovanni's Angel. Is that right? And so tell us, you have an interesting story behind the inspiration for Giovanni's Angel. So if you could share that with us, that'd be great.
Yeah, sure. Giovanni's Angel is the first book in my Eternal Curse series. So actually, when you search for it, it usually comes up Eternal Curse, Giovanni's Angel. But the idea kind of came to me in a dream. And I know that sounds a little bit cliche, but what happened was I was kind of going through like a struggle and, a personal crisis or whatever. And I started having a reoccurring dream. And, I would forget it most parts when I would wake up. So I just started writing it down because I didn't want to forget it. And then I eventually started creating a story that was based on the dream. I didn't actually write the dream, but a story that was based on the dream.
Oh, that's fantastic. I mean, inspiration comes from all over, and I think hardship and those things, they do tend to get in your head and gnaw a little bit and inspire you. So that's fantastic that you were taking to do something really positive with that. So now it says book one of a series that you're planning. How many books do you plan in the series?
I plan for 3 in the series. I'm a little concerned about the vision that I have for the third book. It might need to be stretched out into 2, so I'm kind of leaving that open. I'm not trying to write more books for the sake of writing more books, but I do actually have the second one. It's out, but I'm not really promoting it because I'm giving it a rewrite. Everything in the story was as I wanted it, but I felt like there was something missing. So I actually contacted another author whose opinion means a lot to me and had them take a look at it, and a whole bunch of new ideas came up. So when I do my re-release, it'll be a big deal.
Well, that is one of the amazing things about the indie publishing and indie author movement today is that we get to really flex our creative muscles, put it out there. If we're not happy, we pull it back and we do it again. So and you can watch writers develop. I have a good friend of mine, another author, who actually, between her book 1 and her book 3 of the series, you can actually see her develop as a writer in each book, because every time she writes, she gets a little bit better, and every time she does it, she gets a little bit better. And so that's amazing. Now, your website, you said you're a very proud indie publisher, very proud indie writer. What do you like best about being an independent author?
Well, not to hopefully come off in a negative light, but I'm a control freak. That's what it boils down to. I like being able to call all the shots. The thing about traditional publishing, which is a wonderful route to go, is that it is very collaborative. And I'm not so good at having some of my ideas rejected. I think for me, because I'm able to, as an indie, consult with other people and say, I'll take this, I'll not take that. That to me is more of a way for me to express myself as an artist. So I would say, just having control, being able to say, you know what, I think I want to go this route instead of another route. To me, that's one of the perks of being an indie.
Now, when did you start writing? On your bio, it says you've actually been writing a very long time before you ever got into pushing it out there and publishing. So, when were you first inspired to start writing things down?
Believe it or not, and I don't even think I've ever really told anyone else in any of my other interviews, I wrote my first novel when I was 12. I actually forgot about it. It was a story that I wrote about some of the kids that I went to school with, and I just kind of buried it away because at that point, writing was just something that I kind of did on the side,
Mm-hmm.
But writing has always, been a part of my life. And I didn't really realize it until I became, an author. But I've always written journals, not diaries, but like I would write little stories here or there, little poems here and there. So I've always been writing. I just never actually applied it as being something that's an artistic expression for me.
Mm-hmm. That's fantastic, though. Myself personally, I started writing probably about the same age. And anything, a poem to impress a girl, something, anything where I could put a sentence together and have it ring true. And so it's great that you started that young. It's great that you found a voice now. Do you think the emergence of the independent author community or whatever has helped you find that voice and helped you get those messages out there?
Definitely. I'm all the time kind of reaching and seeking. I love being a part of the indie community because there are so many people who are willing to help you, or at least, lead by example. And I feel like there's a lot of other communities where you don't necessarily get that. But anyone who is an indie, whether it's an indie author, musician, or whatever, they understand the work and the heart that goes into it. So they're willing to help. I have met very few indie artists who haven't been willing to help someone else. And I think that's, one of the greatest things about being an indie as well.
That's fantastic. Now, I see that you're married, and you married a gentleman whose last name was the same as yours already was. Is that right? Is that right? Is that what I read?
That's correct. It was
That's a great way to save on the monograms. It really is.
It's kind of a running joke. So sometimes people call me Toi Thomas because it's the same name.
That's great. Now, is Eric supportive of your work and the what you're doing as an indie author?
Yes, he is so supportive. I think the fact that he himself is an artist helps. He's a sculptor, and so when I came to him and said, actually, I didn't tell him I was going to write a book. I actually wrote it and said, hey, babe, by the way, I wrote a book. And he was just kind of ecstatic about it. So he is so supportive. He helps me go to events and he helps me create artwork. And I'm so lucky to have him.
That is fantastic. That is great. Now, I was, again, reading over your bio and things like that. Okay, I'm told that I have to make room here for a break here in a second. So we're going to do that. And thank you for hanging with the authors, everybody out there. We're going to be right back with more Toi Thomas. We've got lots more of her bio to talk about. She's a very interesting woman and a very interesting author. So come back and see us in a minute, and we're going to go to break right now.
The Submit to Darkness series by indie author A.J. Spencer is now complete. This dark and twisted erotic thriller spans 3 books and follows FBI profiler Natasha Stolt as she hunts the serial killer known as Grimm. Will you become as obsessed with her prey as she does?
In 1953, private investigator Will Lucky Marks was working as the in-house private eye for Arcane Pacific Pictures when famed director Alistair Walters was brutally stabbed to death on the scene of his last blockbuster. Lucky must sort through stereotypes and challenge common perceptions as well as his own prejudices in order to sort through gossip, innuendo, and intrigue to find the killer before time runs out. This murder mystery will pit Lucky against some of the most deceitful creatures on Earth, movie stars. Get Lot 28 today.
Welcome back, Internet. Welcome back, YouTube, and members of our podcast community. You are hanging with the authors, and right now we are hanging with author and blogger and web designer and all-around artist, Toi Thomas. And Toi, before the break, we talked a little bit about Giovanni's Angel and your inspiration for that first book and your plans for later books. But I also see you've been published in several anthology series, and you've been published, short stories here and there. So how long have you been actually publishing?
I've been published for, oh my goodness, I think I've been published for 4 years. I actually had a poem that was published in a literary journal. It was one of those things where I saw like an article in a magazine or a newspaper and just did it. Mm-hmm. And so, and that was before I even was trying to pursue, being a published author. And so that was about, I want to say 4 or 5 years ago.
Wow, that's good, and it's a good run. And a lot of people out there don't realize how long it takes to come from your mind onto the printed page, and then of course to edit and do the art and put it out there. So you've come a long way in a short time, and that's a really amazing thing. And I'm going to reach just real quick. I'm going to grab my notes here because I have more questions. We wanted to know, the whole gang here, we've been talking about it since we were reading your bio, and you are quite the geek. and that actually tickles us because we are all quite the geeks, plural, around here. So, what's your favorite stuff that's out there right now? What are you geeking out about the most? Comic books, movies. What are you looking at right now?
Well, I'm a bit of a collector in general. I collect comic books. I collect vinyl records, and the girly in me collects teacups. But
okay.
when it comes to like what I call my geekdom, or what you would refer to as like a fandom, it's totally Batman. It's all
outstanding. Batman. I was going to ask you, weigh in. The age-old question is DC or Marvel. You're obviously a DC girl.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. And Batman is your favorite there. Now, Marvel kind of owns the movie theaters right now.
Oh, I know.
So, of all the things that are out there, who's your favorite Marvel character?
My favorite Marvel character is the Hulk. It's kind of if I were to show you my home, it's kind of like a battle between how many Batman figurines versus Hulk figurines I can get. Because even though I love DC, my husband loves Marvel, so it's interesting.
A house divided.
Yeah.
There we go. No, that's terrific. What's your favorite movie that's out right now? The past year or so.
That's a tough one. I'm kind of a movie buff too. I really enjoy movies. It's hard for me to watch a movie and just hate it, which I have hated some, but I usually always find something good in it. I think all of the movies that the Marvel and Disney franchise have been putting out have been just wonderful. But as far as the best movie that I've seen, man. You should have gave me that question ahead of time. I would have had it. I enjoy. Oh, you know what? I'm going to put this out there, and I know a lot of people won't agree with these, but I thought the Godzilla reboot was excellent. It made people who didn't like monster movies like Godzilla. So I would say that was the best one I've seen in a while.
Yes, it was that. You know what? It was an excellent movie. It returned Godzilla to its roots, which was really fun. I sometimes like to watch the old Godzilla movies just to kind of go, wow, they actually put that on television. They put that in a movie.
Yeah.
Wow. But sometimes those cult classic things just kind of it reminds us that storytelling is evolving, and I think that well-studied writers know that storytelling came from telling stories. It was the oldest type of storytelling in the world is the campfire story.
Yeah.
And the modern campfire is that 55-inch screen TV or that movie screen. That's the modern campfire. It's a great place for storytellers to tell their stories. And so now you're out there. You're a comic book geek. You're a movie geek. We have to ask the question just because we're a big fan here. We saw in your bio that you are doing some things going to Comic-Con. That's my dream. I'd love to go. I'd love to do this at Comic-Con. To sit in because those are of course I wouldn't know how to talk because I'd be sitting there like this the whole time. Wow! But if I could get the words out.
Totally.
Now where can we find you on the internet, Toi? I mean, just kind of do some self-promotion, shameless self-promotion right here. Now, where can we find you on the internet? Where are you?
Well, I'm pretty good at a little thing called SEO, so you can actually search for my name and find me. But my home on the web is my blog, which is the Toi Box of Words, and the actual URL for that is toithomas.com.
That's outstanding, and I know everybody out there that wants to know, you can find Toi on Facebook, you can find Toi on Google+. I found Toi actually on YouTube. You can find it on Twitter. You can follow Toi. And if you want to, later on when this video goes on the podcast, you can kind of go down here a little ways, and you can click on Toi's link in iBooks. And of course, you can find her at online bookstores everywhere that are out there. So, Toi, it's great talking to you, and it's inspiring to see indie authors doing great things. And you really are doing great things in the last 5 years. And I'm inspired by that. I have been writing since I was 12 or 13 years old. I have my first published works were poems and short stories in anthology series myself, way back when that was hard to do, when you had to actually write a letter and send it away and say, please publish my stuff. Yeah. I really considered publishing for the first time when the indie author movement started to come about, 5 or 6 years ago, and started to become really big. And you can see its growth. And the printing press is no longer controlled by a handful of people in boardrooms. It's controlled by you, and it's controlled by me, and it's controlled by anybody who wants to be an artist.
Oh, yeah.
And that's really kind of amazing stuff. Real quick, any special shouts out for? I know you have an illustrator that does Giovanni's Angel is listed there. But any quick shout outs to artists and people that you want to say hi to out there? And
oh yeah, sure.
Yeah.
My artist is Eric Jones, and he actually is a cinematographer. He just kind of does drawing on the side. So if you need video worked on or graphics, he's the man. And some of the editors that I've been working with who have just been so wonderful in developing my craft, fellow author Andrew Hess, and There For You founder, her name is Melissa Ringstead, and she's just amazing. They helped me grow in so many ways. And one other person that I'd like to mention, just because they are kind of my motivator whenever I get down, they pick me back up, and that is fellow author MCV Egan. She's amazing.
She is amazing. We had a chance to speak with her at IBF, and it was a great time. And she's actually helped us quite a bit get started too. So we are going to wrap it up here. Thanks for hanging with the authors, everybody. We've been hanging with Toi Thomas. You can find her on the web at etoithomas.com and all over social media. And go on to iBooks and grab Giovanni's Angel and read it. Enjoy it. Have fun with it, and wait for the next one in the series, because it's going to be huge. So thanks for being with us, Toi. We really appreciate it. And we'll talk to you again real soon. Okay? Bye-bye, everybody. And I think we're good. Thank you, Toi.